Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're the Sawyers.
Hello out there, everybody.
I need to turn our light up because you're wearing white today. So that makes this thing a little bit darker. So I have to turn it up. Hope you guys are doing well. We are the Sawyers, and this is another Cornerstone Heart to Heart. We're glad you're part of our spiritual community. Katrina,
Good to see you guys.
First on the line this morning, and Sister Chris is on the phone. And Pat, second runner-up. Joe's coming in, and we are. Let us know if you can hear and see us good, if you can. I'm trying to get my lights right. We wear white and black, and then the camera goes funny. So anyway, I hope you can see us and hear us. Hello, Dee Dee, George, and all of the family. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Sandra, I'm glad you're here. Did you have a good birthday yesterday? Hope you did. Sissy and brother-in-law. Sissy just got home from the hospital yesterday. You okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking.
You're looking. Is that light too bright for you?
A little bit. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to turn it down. But your shirt is causing the camera to go dark. We'll get this technical stuff together one day.
That's good.
Okay. All right. Hey, Morgan. Hope you're doing well. And Connie and Lori. Hey, sweetheart. Hey, Kim. Been thinking about you. Hey, Brother Charles Blue.
Brother and Sister Keely.
Keely and Mark. James Kessler. I'm glad you're on here today. Mm-hmm. Glad I had a chance to talk with you yesterday. And Tanita, tell your mama hello.
Okay.
Hey, Jill. And Sue. Hey, Sue, I saw you.
Got the whole crew
saw you, what you call that? Not hang gliding, the other thing. You were riding that, strip that. What you call that when you go down that rope and you ride it?
Oh, yeah.
Sue's been doing that. Can you believe it? Hey, CJ.
Up in the mountains.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Phyllis and Edward.
Oh, yeah.
Noel, I'm glad you're here this morning. Good morning to you. Hey, Vern. Okay.
Got the whole crew on here today.
Hey, Melissa.
Okay.
She's coming in from Hawaii. I had you on my mind so much, and I sent you an email. You may not have gotten it, but I did send you one. Hello, Lisa, Renee, and John Greason, and Apostle Norman, and Phyllis Kendrick, and Gerald. I'm so glad to see you guys. And James D. Hey, James. You and Kelly. And I am so glad you guys are with us this morning. Lori put something on there about a prayer. I wanted to make sure I posted that before we get started. She says, pray for Lou's brother. He was very active, 60-year-old, contracted COVID, and is now on a ventilator fighting for his life. We certainly will pray for him and are praying for him right now. In fact, when you mention it, God heard it. It is already heard. And we speak life and light into him, and we choose to see him healed and well. Okay, you want to ring your bell this morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready out there? Here it goes. That's the dinner bell. It's time to eat.
Wow, that feels good. That feels good. Melissa, yes, it has been a long time. It's good to see you on here, darling. I hope things have been going well for you. And yeah, Jill called it a zip line. Yeah, Sue's been doing a zip line. Can you believe it?
I never heard of that.
You know where you hold on and you ride. It's up in the air and you ride.
Yeah, we used to have a family down the street from us have one in their backyard.
Well, she wasn't in a yard. She was out
outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sandra says they surprised her at dinner. That's good. Okay. That's good. I'm glad you had a good time.
Who said spiritual banquet?
Judy said on a spiritual banquet. That's true. I want to introduce another book to them if they
Okay, go
if you
ahead.
don't mind. This one is called The Naked Now. Let me remove the comments so you guys can see it. The Naked Now is by Richard Rohr. It's called, and it's about learning to see as the mystics see.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good book. Easy reading, not hard to read. And I'm going to read just a little bit out of it this morning before we start. And you can jump in because we talked about some of this yesterday while we were riding around doing a few things. It really spoke to me. So I wanted to share a little bit of it with you this morning. Sue said it was so much fun. She was in Fayetteville. I'd love to see videos if you took it. Did you scream? I bet you did when you went down that rope. So anyway, I'm going to read some things out of this. The one particular part was the part about prayers. That's the part we wanted to read. And this particular chapter is called "The Gift is Already Given." And it says this: the gift is objectively already within, and yet has to be desired and awakened by the person. But you never know that it is within until after it's awakened.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then he says, our DNA is divine. And that prayer is practicing heaven now. Everything exposed to the light itself becomes light. And he gives a scripture for that in Ephesians 5:14. Somebody find that for me, if you would. If you got a Bible and you're a Bible scholar, that's Ephesians 5:14. And I don't think it's the King James Version, but if you have that, I want you to put it in the comment section for me. He says, everything exposed to the light itself becomes light. Then he says, in prayer, we merely keep returning the divine gaze, and we become its reflection in spite of ourselves. And he gives another scripture of 2 Corinthians 3:18. The word prayer has often been trivialized by making it into a way of getting what you want. I use prayer, the word prayer, as the umbrella word for any interior journey or practice that allows you to experience faith, hope, and love within yourself. It is not a technique for getting things, an exercise that somehow makes God happy, or a requirement for entry into heaven. It is much more like practicing heaven now. The essential religious experience is that you are being known through more than knowing anything in particular yourself. Yet in despite of this difference, it will feel like true knowing. This new way of knowing is called contemplation, non-dualistic thinking, or third eye seeing. Such prayer, such seeing takes away the anxiety about figuring it all out or needing to be right about your formulations. At this point, God becomes more a verb than a noun, more a process than a conclusion, more an experience than a dogma, more a personal relationship than an idea. There is someone dancing with you, and you are not afraid of making mistakes. We do not pray to Christ, we pray through Christ. Or even more precisely, Christ prays through us. We are always and forever the instruments, the tuning forks, the receiver stations And he gives another scripture in Romans 8:22. We slowly learn the right frequencies that pick up the signal. The core task of all good spirituality is to teach us to cooperate with what God already wants to do and has already begun to do. We are always and forever merely seconding the motion.
Mm-mm.
That's
Okay.
so good. That's so good. Gwen put the Ephesians 5:14 up. It says, wherefore he said, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. Thank you, Gwen. Good morning to you, sweetheart.
Okay.
I thought that was very, very good. Sinette likes that. Hey, Sinette. So what are you talking about today?
Some of you didn't hear us, or you could, or you may have gone back and heard it. I think it's just 2 classes back. We were talking about how everything that we're doing now was downloaded into us and built into our structure.
Yes.
One of the main things I like to say about our experience in seeing Jesus in person, I say person, but just seeing him, was that as I looked at him, I noticed that when he moved coming down the stairs, when we saw him, his clothes or his robe or that covering that he had on him, every time he'd move, it would move with him. Of course, you would think so. Yeah. If you're wearing something, when you raise your arm, your clothes go with you.
True.
But I didn't know in the eternal case and the infinite case, when Jesus moved his robe, it was him moving himself with himself on himself. In other words, his robe was wearing him and he was wearing it.
Yes. Here's the book again. It can be got on Amazon or any bookstore. It's by Father Richard Rohr. Okay.
Now, every book that you read, regardless of what is taught or looked at, all of that is called information.
Yes.
Inwardly, when birth is noted or it is time to come forth in the results of conception, everything that you are made out of inside the womb is part of where you came from. The other part of you is the eternal essence that's inside of the birther or the mother or whoever gives the birth. My point is this: we have always been the key to this whole thing that we've been talking about. Yes. And key to anything. And this is not, I say this often, not to put anybody down. This has not been said in its clearness and fullness in the religious church circle.
True.
We all have the ideal that the new birth experience comes from outside, not knowing that the real definition of the new birth experience is us as an eternal, always have been beingness, wakes up inside of the womb, which means this. Everybody that comes into this dream world at the point of birth come from inside of a vessel, and after coming to the outside, it turns around and faces itself. My point is this: where you came from is what you're made out of. What you're made out of was created or existed before you came from it. Okay? That was created, you participated in the creation of it, meaning this: your baby, your children participated through the channels of infinity to give the power of birth switching back and forth to each one of us. This is a mystical type of saying, but it's exactly the process.
But that's the way you speak because you are the mystic.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you had to, in order to get into this dream world, come through the avenues of creation. To the mind, we all created, we all are creations, but in our infinite self, we have always existed.
Exactly.
If you're going to say you've been born of God or born again or saved and all that kind of conversation, you're saying that you are in a God, big G, little J, big J class.
A derivative of.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are the inner sanctum. You are the internal. Oh gosh. Yes. You are the internal self of God. Wow. That
came hot off the oven, out of the oven, hot off the press, hot out of the oven. Yeah.
What did I just say?
I don't know. Repeat it.
I'm trying to. It slipped from me just that quick.
We are the internal something.
Yeah,
of God.
We are the eternal essence of where we came from.
Yes.
Whether it be physical or spiritual. Let me explain this to you. Let me say this to you. Do you know it's got to be something to you for you to be sitting there and you don't have your mind on your heart and it's beating. You don't have your mind on the hair that's growing and the fingernail that's growing. How can you let it be brainwashed that you are not in the same class of an infinite eternal being? And they have the audacity to say there's natural growth and physical growth and then the God kind of growth. I don't care if it's growing lettuce and tomatoes. It is still an action of some being that the stuff is made out of.
Yes. Judy says, thank you for the reinforcement of this eternal truth.
Yes, I feel the wailing up inside of me, the tears of compassion. Oh, he just said this. Do you know when you talk about your true self like you are and have always been, you are ministering to your God identity. You are ministering to the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is really the only way to minister.
That's true worship. That's the music is fine. That is true worship. But that is true worship.
Yes.
When you give presence, honor to that you are made and came from.
Yes.
You are now worshiping God. Don't worry about the mind trying to explain it and put it all in place. Exactly. Go on for it. Just go for it.
Exactly.
You have always been. Here it comes. You have always been forever.
Yes.
There's nothing any higher than you are forever. Oh, well, what about God? Jesus said he thought it not robbery to make himself equal with God. So if you're in the same class that he is, well, I mean, why get into this false humility? Just go ahead on and take it's a blue pill or red pill, whatever pill it is, take it.
False humility is the ego trying to be spiritual. And that's not necessary. That's not necessary.
Here's another one. When I started off in this, I thought that one of the things that Jesus did that has been overlooked in the Bible, which give or take a little, was positive thinking and positive confession. And you know, there are wars and people fighting about, I don't like the way you said that. You're not speaking positive.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about that. Let's go for it.
Go for it.
your positive confession ain't got an iota of effect or disturbance, positive or negative confession, don't have a least bit of disturbance toward your eternal pure self.
And what I've come to realize is that I don't put down positive
No, don't put it
confession
down.
or
No.
affirmation because it is valid. However, what we have done with it in the past is we have confessed and affirmed things that we did not even believe. We would do it trying to make it be so. But true affirmation is speaking from a declaration of truth that you have already seen and you know it's so.
If you lay everything to the side ditch, lay it to the side, Miss Keeley, they will actually come out and actually admit, shut your mind and your mouth down for a second. Shut down your conditioned churchology, religiology. Shut down all the last revelation you ever had, even the last class that we had. Shut it down inside and look at yourself from the perspective of identifying as a spirit. You can't die. You will find out eventually that pain and suffering. I saw some things last night about a movie star that had some type of
You're talking about the one I watched?
Yeah.
Yes, and I wanted to mention that because I think her name was Selma Blair.
Yeah.
If any of you guys are superhero buff, she saw the movie Hellboy. She was in Hellboy, and she was the girlfriend of Hellboy. So that's the actress that I'm speaking of, Selma Blair. She's been in several different movies,
but she had cancer.
But never been a leading lady. No, she's been diagnosed with MS.
Okay, MS.
And so she has done a movie of her journey with MS. And you didn't see the entire thing, but you just saw the majority of her sufferings. At the end of the movie, and I was going to mention this anyway, but at the end of the movie, it showed her getting into the pool and swimming. She was not healed physically, but she had come to a place where she no longer placed value on things that were temporal. She came to a place of peace, and this was the funniest thing. What brought her to her knowing of herself and who she really is as the essence was all of the suffering of that multiple sclerosis. And she said at the end she would not have traded that experience for anything because it brought her to an opening of realization. And that was just it's so beautiful. If you get a chance to watch it. You'll have to go through the suffering while you're watching it because she really has been suffering, but physically, but she removed herself throughout from going through the suffering internally.
Read that right there, Miss Melissa.
Melissa?
Yeah, she's making a good statement in the course.
Yes, in the Course in Miracles, Jesus says, I don't have anything that you don't have. I just don't have anything else. Meaning he doesn't have the fears and labels that we take on in this world of illusions when we forget who we really are. That's exactly right. And she was mentioning, Selma Blair mentioned the fact that she now doesn't care if she gets a role in a movie. That has taken back a backstage. She no longer cares about a boyfriend. She no longer cares about whether her relationship with her spouse is okay. She no longer cares about whether her body gets healed. She no longer, all of that was put on the backstage. It's on the back burner. She now was able, she said she was able, she stood on the top of a hill she had climbed with a lot of effort. And she stood there and she said, for the first time, I can enjoy being on this earth. And it was very, very enlightening. Phyllis said she had followed her. Okay. Yes. It is amazing.
We are and have always been the always ready of God.
Yes. In the book, that I just read from you guys. He has a phrase here where he says, "The existing presence that is sealed within you."
This stuff is something. I'll tell you. When you take your time, but you listen, you cannot give up anything that is blocking you from seeing your true self.
Yes.
You cannot give up until there's a energy and a power, higher power. Now I'm going to tell you something that's a clue to this thing. You can't give up what God ain't give up. I don't know why you say that. I can't say it the other way. You can't give up anything. There is no such thing as an independent you. If it is an independent you or a separated you, it is false, because anything that is separated, individualized, is compartmentalizing and individualized. And if you mess with that individualized identity enough and go all the way into the core of your identity, that division is removed.
Yes.
Now, once you understand, oh boy, once you understand your never departureness from God, oh
yes.
boy.
Yes, yeah, that's yeah, I love the way you do the locutions, the never departureness.
You are the I have always been. You are the always have been. You are the always have been. And you are the always will be. And you are the always is.
Yes. Can I read a little more?
And yes.
Can I read a little more? Because it's right in line with what you said. He's talking about a joyful.
Now, I haven't read the book.
No, you haven't. He's talking about a joyful surrender to God. He says mature transcendence is an actual falling into and an undergoing of God. And so what we fall into is what Christianity calls an abyss and an utter foundation. What a paradox. But in God, they are not opposites. When we do get there, we almost wonder how we got there. We know we didn't do anything nearly as much as we know we were done unto. We are being utterly and warmly held and falling helplessly into a scary mystery at the very same time, caught between profound desire and the question, where is this going to take me? It has been said many times that after transformation, you seldom have the feeling you have found anything. It feels much like someone found you. And he said, you know you have been had. You are in someone else's grip.
Sin is not smoking, dipping, and chewing and hanging around everybody else to do. Real definition of sin is separatedness from your true core essence, infinite, eternal self.
Yes.
Put it all in one line. Waking up is not you waking up to living wrong or right, or living for God or not.
Right. In fact, it's not in the land of right and wrong at all.
Once this is cleared up in you, you're going to hear and sense in your intuitiveness identity a deep breath that's going to go, Yes. It's like every atom and cell in your body relaxes for the first time since you've been in this body.
Yes. And one more thing. He says, most people in our culture live in a hall of mirrors. And we find ourselves with fragile, rapidly changing identities, needing a lot of affirmation. Their identities are built on feelings, moods, and ideas that are easily manipulated by everything around them, including advertising and the selling of superficial images. But then he says, finally, you allow yourself to stand before one mirror for your identity. You surrender to the naked now.
What goes to heaven? Your eternal self. What goes to hell? Your eternal self. If you notice,
yes,
hell is a place that we've been taught that we go to for eternity.
Well, I know one thing. When I get lost in the mind, that is hell.
We've been told that in heaven we won't have to work no more. No more tears. I don't care what you find out that's heaven or hell is like in descriptions. The point of these classes is to point you toward something goes there, something goes to heaven, something, and it has to be something that is already existing as a eternal you.
Yes.
And you will not in your infinite self be completely dissolved. You can't do it.
You cannot. And Oliver said, he repeated, you never depart from this.
Oh gosh, I like that. You'll never you are the speakable, unspeakable word of God formed from what has always been.
Yes.
You will never ever cease to be anything else than your perfect self, whether your mind is on spirit or not. Oh,
Keely said it's like taking a Nestle plunge. Remember that commercial?
Yeah,
falling back into the abyss.
Now.
And I like what Richard Rohr says, Father Richard Rohr says. He said, it's not that we did much of anything, but something's been done unto us. It's what God did to bring us to this point. Just as I mentioned Selma Blair and how her journey of MS has brought her to this point. And she would not have, the irony is she would probably not have gotten there without that journey.
Listen to this. The prodigal son had brothers and a father. He decided to leave home and go out and do his thing. And it's in the scriptures, more detailed than what I'm telling you now. Notice when it said it, and he woke up. And when he woke up, he come back the way he left.
Yes.
Oh.
Home.
So home is
where you left.
Let me put it to you like this.
That you never left.
Yeah. When the prodigal son left, he slipped over into compartmentalizing identity.
Compartmentalizing himself, yes.
He was still out there in a separated illusion. But the father was standing at the door waiting on him the whole time. Where was the father waiting on him from? Inside himself.
So the prodigal had the process of separation taking place inside of himself internally. The father didn't have that same.
What if I told you the psychological dream side of the false identity of the ego side of hell is going to be wiped out and is wiped out every time you go back to seeing the truth of who you are?
Yes.
Think about that.
Then he says here, asking for something from God does not mean talking God into it. It means awakening of the gift within ourselves.
Now.
And Jill says, and Selma Blair, designed the role of MS in her awakening. Thank you. You. Yes.
Did what?
Yes, Jill.
Design the role of MS in her awakening.
We had the privilege of speaking with a young lady the other day, and we mentioned these same things to her. She said, who in their right mind would plan what I've been through? And I said, that is the right mind that planned it. And so we think that we would have chosen differently in our right mind. But as you said, Jill, she designed the role of MS for her awakening from her infinite self, infinite being.
Now, you will eventually, after having deliberately shut down your ancient past, you say past, or shut down your last incarnation in order to come into this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You chose everything in your divine, infinite, eternal self before birth of the body.
Yes. Before conception.
Before conception, you chose everything that you're going through at this very moment. Don't play with this, because this thing will explode in your face. And when it does, all the negative and ugliness and meanness, you're going to be able to stand back and look at it and laugh at it.
Well, I like
in your divine self, because you just woke up.
Yeah.
From, not to, but from a lie that's been conditioned into your life.
And what Judy says is the dreamer of the dream. And what happens is when we came into this dimension,
Lord have mercy.
when we fell into this dimension, the great fall, we fell asleep in this dimension. And in falling asleep, we planted clues, and we set up clues and events and scenarios all to wake us up from the dream. And that's exactly what Jill is saying when she says she planned the whole thing.
We use death. Death can only be used from the perspective of your core essence, eternal self. If you try to mess with death in the finite human form, you're going to go through a past feeling, emotional thing, and that's exactly what we do. We are. I don't know what you say, discovering or finding out. We chose to act like we lost our memory of our divine home consciousness. And then when we got here, the others who thought that they just know the truth about heaven and going to heaven, they give off the idea, or we give off the idea from our finite mind, ego self, that heaven is another place to go to. What if it is? What if it's not? The key to this thing is that you wake up to what is in the present moment of your true self. Yeah. If you do go, you're going to find out you've already been there. And if you do go, you're going to find out it's made out of you. And if you do go, you're going to find out there's no distance in it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And what was so interesting about Selma Blair at the very end, how she could come to a place of joy in the midst of all that suffering. But she came to a place of joy because she woke up. And the awakening of who she really is and what she really is about, it freed her. The MS freed her.
I have a vision while you're talking. I heard somebody knocking at the door. Somebody knocking at my door. Somebody ring the bell. I heard somebody knocking at the door. I went and answered the door. You remember Jesus said in the book, or in the course, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to use, okay, that he was the door.
Yes.
Oh, so I go to him, door, physical door, or spiritual door, don't make no difference. I open the door and look, and guess who was knocking on my door? Me.
Yes.
Us.
Now I have a picture here in our room where we do our live streams. And Oliver says this, that the course says we are on a journey without distance. I'm going to see if I can move the camera just so that you can see it. Can you guys see that?
It's on the wall.
It's on the wall. It's a picture of Jesus as the door and the lambs going in. You see that?
A man gave that to us years ago named Stan Johnson.
Actually, he was an artist.
Yeah.
He's no longer here with us in this dimension, but he painted this picture because of one of the messages that you
Mhm,
ministered.
mhm.
And he has a very, very large one. This is a small one. He has one that shows a whole depiction
Mhm,
of what the I am is and how he is the door. And this is what he drew and gave it to us as a gift. I checked on it. It's about worth $5,000.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted you guys to see that.
Tell them, Moses, that I am have sent you. Watch this.
Mm-hmm.
I am, and anything you want to put on it that has anything to do with eternal and infinity. Tell Pharaoh on the mystical side of him, I am him,
Yes.
holding myself.
Yes.
And I am him letting the people go free.
That's right.
Now, hear this. As we begin to discover more about our true identity, we found out that all and everything that we're into now, don't analyze with your mind what I'm going to say.
Right.
We set up in the mind of God, the mind of Christ. The book said we have the mind of Christ. I'm going to put a little addendum. We are the mind of Christ. The mind of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to say something else in one word. You are the beyond identity self. You are beyond the physical birth. You had to exist before physical birth in order for physical birth to receive you. You set this thing up in your eternal self. You set up the obstacles, the illusionary dream of dying.
Exactly.
Put your identity on God and you no more separated, and it won't be hard for you to receive what we're talking about. Right. But if you go to messing with it on paper, book and hook and crook, you're going to get over into a mess. And the first thing your motor mouth going to say, this is Eastern religion. And do you know Jesus was from the East? Is that right?
I think he was.
And I think the course is talking about the revelatory insights of a Spirit of God self that has to do with the East. So if you remove the East and the West phenomenon, all you have is in the present moment. I am so glad to know. I was talking to all of you online this morning. I had a chance to talk to the God inside you. You are, I am us self.
Yes.
And I was given great thanksgiving to all of you in every part of the universe for allowing this mystical identity to come forward in this time and moment. There will not ever be anyone greater and immaculate than all you guys are here on this class.
Yes.
You can cry, laugh, pain of hurt, and you'll still be your eternal self.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, you just can't go to the grocery store and buy it. Can't put it in the blender and mix it up. You can't cook it on a stove. Hey, them boys in the Old Testament tried to cook it in a furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but the fire wouldn't touch them. Now, don't get crazy with this and go burn yourself. But you know what sin is? Sin is believing that there is no part of you that is eternal until you get, until you get saved.
Yes.
Yes. You mean to tell me that we got a lot of conditioned saved folks that are saying I wasn't eternal until after I got saved? Well, you got some people that's burned up. They burning already. They burnt already. Stop burning yourself with limited identities. Go on all the way over there and put the fire out. Put that false fire out. It's a false fire.
Yes, it is.
You have always been in touch with God. If you hadn't, you wouldn't be here. Oh, my mom and dad did this. You better be quiet. Shut your mouth.
Well, it's
Your mom and daddy
what
was
we
hooked up with God. Go ahead.
yeah, but we didn't come from our mom and dad. We
No,
came through
no.
our mom and dad.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We came through them, not from them.
The package deal is immortality.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You've been using death as a fear tactic, a loss tactic. And I know we all condition self on the same path. Sweetheart.
Yes,
Sweetheart.
we all experience the same types of things and react the same way. Majority of us do.
I bear my soul, I bear my heart to you. This that we're saying is what we personally discovered that is no longer personal on this earth. There are millions of people right now that are actually waking up to this, and there's millions of people beyond words that came here already seeing what we're talking about.
Seeing.
Yeah, seeing.
Seeing.
Now, find God, and you'll find him sitting right where you are.
Yes.
How can you say?
And God is, and this, I like what Father Rohr says. He said he is a presence. God is the presence, a presence inside of us, sealed inside of us. Sealed inside of us. God is not far away.
One of the things that took place in our awareness was that I finally realized, even though the Lord taught me how to read through applying what he said 50 years ago, I found out that I don't have to try to convince people of what we're talking about.
Right.
That sweat has ceased to exist.
Yes, definitely don't. In fact, conveying what we have discovered is all we're doing, not convincing.
And we do not use a book to convince anybody that what we're saying is true.
Yes, yes.
Now, if you settle back in your seat, we are the actual gospel of Jesus Christ, or any other gospel. Boy, that felt good.
I know the lighting is strange because of. Go ahead.
Zip your suit open with consciousness and gaze upon, for the first time in this physical world, you see the glory of God. You are it. You are the actual glory of God.
Yeah.
You design every role that you play in and have played for many lifetimes. That's why Jesus said, I go unto the Father and you see me no more. He wasn't so much talking about it physical. He said, I'm going to a place that you have ignored within yourself.
And we talk about this. Seems like we talk about this particular part a lot.
Yeah.
How that every experience, life event and experience is really set up for your evolution. And you did plan it. You did pre-plan it and collaborated with spirit so that you could have those clues and events and things that happen so that you would awaken. And I have to say this as well. I've realized now that everything that takes place, I don't care if it's labeled a negative or a positive, it doesn't matter. It is the answer to our prayers. And I'm going to use my sister as an example. I don't think she would mind. She ended up in the ER and hospital this week because of some issues with her blood pressure and all of that. But she's home now. She's fine. But that whole incident has now brought her to a point of another life decision. what you've been dealing with your back has brought you to another life decision. It has answered a prayer for me because I've been trying to be more active. So I was walking once a day. Now I'm walking twice a day to fill in for what he was doing with the dog. So it's helped me that way. So it's the answer to my prayer. It's the bringing to the forefront a decision that you have to make about lifestyle changes. It's bringing my sister to the point of lifestyle changes. It's like we're being navigated. We're being just maneuvered. Something's being done unto us, not us doing. And that's my point. We think we have to put forth a lot of effort, but it's not necessary. No. It really is not necessary.
Now that we set this course and call it a journey, it's just only words.
Yes. And that's what Oliver wrote. It's a journey without distance.
When it said all things work together for our good, we are the good that set up the things that working
together. Yeah.
It's a working together.
It's a synergistic working as well. It means everything. It really is. This affects that. That affects this, and so it's what you're dealing with your back affected my lifestyle. So it's totally different. It's totally synergistic. Totally synergistic.
Now, our ears are hearing, and ain't a thing in the world it can do to stop it unless what's in between the ears
that is so
stop
true.
it.
That is so true. You know our time's about up.
Yes,
oh
Lord, I'm
man,
telling you the truth.
And it's been so good today. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy spending this time with you guys. It helps us as well as you. I hope it's helping you. It reminds us. It's a refresher course. So it keeps us.
Now we'll be back.
Yeah, we will be back.
We ain't gonna go away. Physically, we ain't going nowhere. You stay right there with us now. We come back there on Tuesday. Now you live and in color.
Oh, Judy, I love you so much. Thank you, darling, for that. Thank you for that. She says they're pointers, helpful pointers.
Yep.
Yes.
These are words that we brought with us, made in us, with us, as us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. I put I gratitude all of you.
Yes.
All the things that you're doing, being on this class with us,
being with us in this community.
You are the blessings of God. Just listening.
Yes.
And I thank God for the increase in all of you of a manifested peace and presence that supersedes all physical and natural understanding. But it's brought you into the simplicity of expressing God with or without knowledge.
Oh, Melissa, I'm glad you were here, sweetheart. She said at 4 a.m. Man, we must be the bomb. I tell you.
At 4 a.m.
And Latoya, I've been thinking about you, darling. You and Donald. I hope you're doing well.
Yes,
I hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Oh, thank you guys so much for your love letters to us. That makes us feel so good, and it makes us feel like we're really making a difference. And it means a lot to us.
It does.
Thank you, Phyllis. We love you, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. We carry you in our hearts. We carry the heart of your heart inside of us. Gwen, Oliver, Melissa, and Connie, and Latoya. Oh, we carry all of you with us.
Yes. We were. Oh, Vincent, and Vincent. Yeah. Hey, baby. Hey, I'm glad you were here. Vincent.
Thank you.
We love you guys. We will see you again on Tuesday.
And thank you for helping us keep going, okay? For all the financial blessings and everything, we thank you, every one of you. Thank you so much. See you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome.